Well, good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Underhood Show presented by Hambelton Ford. My name is Phil Nightingale. I'm the general manager. Josh Profit. Morning, Josh.
Good morning.
Josh, our service director here, taking care of everything. And as always, Josh, is a call-in show. Only show I know you get paid to call in on. My glasses kind of cattywampus up there, Josh. It's kind of funky. Anyway, let's get the phones ringing. 316-462-3673. It's anything ailing your car, tires, brakes, batteries, anything in the automobile world. You want to talk about the new Bronco, the new F-150, the new Mach-E, MH Ford Racing. Not much racing going on around this area with all this rain. Did you bring that rain in, Josh?
I did not. You know, we needed it for sure, though, but we'll take it, I guess.
No,
we don't have any choice.
It's ruining the racing world, Josh. So anyway, each and every caller gets a great price package valued over $130. And as always, Josh, what's in that package for each and every caller?
So like you said, just for calling in the show, we're going to mail it out to you, but it's going to consist of the works, which is an oil change and tire rotation. We use Motorcraft oil and filter products here at Hambelton Ford. While we're performing that, we're also going to complete a multi-point inspection on your vehicle, checking over the brakes, tires, steering, suspension, all the safety-related components, make sure that vehicle is geared up and ready to go for that next 5,000 miles of driving. You'll also receive $10 to Mel's Diner, so you can get yourself something to eat and drink while you're here with us at the Big Corner. Complete nitrogen for your tires, so you get all the great benefits that nitrogen has to offer for your tires. And a BG products package, which is going to consist of a can of MOA or motor oil additive for your engine oil, and then a can of CF5 for your fuel system. Again, just getting that vehicle geared up and ready to go for that next 5,000 miles of driving.
All right, so let's get the phones ringing. 316-462-3673 to get that great price package. And morning, Delbert. Got a lot of people watching already this morning, so let's get the phones going. Anything you want to talk about in the racing world, MH Ford Racing, Hoosiers, anything ailing your car, you just don't understand what has happened, you can get a lot of information out there in Google. But, Josh, Google can take you astray, too, several times.
So, yeah, that's for sure.
So, anyway, anything exciting happened in the shop this week? We had our open house for our warehouse to thank everybody help us get that warehouse going and everything else. And I think Paul's getting a great handle on the warehouse. We're getting a lot more inventory and everything stocked in there and stuff like that. But I hope everybody also knows there's a lot of shortages on inventory and a lot of things are still happening to try to get things in there and stuff too. So
yeah, there is. And, I think our team definitely, there are points which you just can't get apart. It's just unobtainable. And it's really, when that situation happens of trying to think outside of the box and, okay, well, what's the other day I got in a situation or an instance where we were looking for a wheel speed sensor on, it was on a pickup. And I mean, literally there was nobody that had it anywhere. Absolutely no one.
As I was getting ready to come to work this morning, Mary had the TV on and they were talking about the fuel shortage. I should have looked and saw where that was all at. Wasn't paying attention. People are running out of gas and stuff because I guess it's just we can't get truck drivers to haul the fuel and everything to the different areas and stuff that we need to. So
to get it there. So I'm getting involved in this wheel speed sensor and trying to figure out, where we get one and, where it comes from. And then our inventory, there are times where we'll, borrow a part off of a vehicle just to get a customer going from that side of things. It's pretty unlikely that we'll do it, but just occasionally. And so it's so low and there just wasn't really anything that matched what we needed. And so looking at this deal a little bit further, you can't get the wheel speed sensor by itself, just the sensor by itself. But if you replace the whole hub, which comes with the speed sensor, that part was available.
Hey,
so how does that make sense? I guess I don't know that it does, but
yeah,
it's just really trying to take every situation and dissect it and look at it from every different angle and not get that tunnel vision. Which it's very easy to do, from that side of things, because if you're looking everywhere and it's saying it's just not available, and so it's I really do think our guys do a really good job of just trying to think outside of the box to obtain something.
I agree, and it's a trying times right now with everything we're trying to do to get there, and I know we're taking every avenues, and I questioned a few times that different things that they're really shocked we don't have or whatever, and go back there and they've already dotted their I's, crossed their T's, they've searched everywhere. To be able to find the part, and just not a lot of stuff available. So anyway, good morning, Delbert Art. Good morning, James Furman. Yeah, Furman, I'm with you. I don't know why Mother Nature has to rain on Saturdays and Fridays, and why she can't rain on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. from that part, but ruined a lot of racing around this area and stuff too. And hopefully maybe we can take off to Dodge City this afternoon. Maybe we can get some racing in at Dodge City. I don't know. It looks like a bunch of rain rolled through there this morning, but who knows? We'll find out for sure. But yeah, James, I'm with you. Mother Nature likes to check with us on the weekends.
The guys were down at Mad last night. Went down there, and it sounded like they had a pretty good night down there. Headed back down there again today. Do some drag racing down in Arc City. So,
well, we were headed to 81 Speedway tonight too, but it's rained out too. Last night was rained out in Salina. So hopefully maybe Mad can get the races in today.
Yeah.
Sent from that part. So anyway, 316-462-3673. Only show I know you get paid to call in on. Just call in with anything. And you want to talk about what's going on in the racing world, anything for ailing your car. You want to talk about the new Bronco. Kind of give you an update on Bronco. The full-size Broncos are being built as we speak. I know you see a lot of stuff out there, but what you see out there so far is prototypes that have been out in displays in different venues and stuff like that. We missed out on having one here in Wichita. Can't believe we didn't get the Bronco tour through here, but we didn't. At the end of the month, you and I and Jake are headed down to, where are we going? Austin.
Yeah, Austin.
And we're going to get to actually drive the Broncos and stuff like that too. So we'll get a lot of pictures and a lot of video and stuff of that while we're down there. But the new, we've got about 5 of them now in production. The first 2 that we will get are going to be our demo units. So that'll be fun to get those here. Should see one. I'm going to hopefully, I think the first week of June, we should see one here. And that'll be the demo one. We can drive around and stuff. We've got a 2-door and a 4-door coming. One's an automatic and one is a manual. So I'm hoping the 2-door is the manual is what I'm thinking. I got to get that in my head how it's coming. But exciting times for that, for the Broncos. Our next one is going to be the first edition, which is exciting to have that. That's the top of the line Bronco. That's the next one we'll see here. And then there's about 4 or 5 more that we've got in slated in production in the middle of June, a couple in July. So they're going to start slowly trickling in. And I hope the production gets moved up a little faster and gets things moving on the Bronco. So, and then we've got our new little compact truck. The Maverick is coming. Probably see that September, October. So a new little compact truck that'll be fun to have. And they're telling us $20,000.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
All crew cabs too. No extended cabs, no regular cabs, but all crew cabs. So that's going to be a fun truck to have and everything else too. So, hey, we got a couple questions coming here. I got to get my glasses on so I can read them.
Okay.
Craig says, was wondering if my 2011 F-150 Bluetooth on the steering wheel works, but once in a while I have a video of it not working. Will that work for you all? Because I never know when it's going to work or not work. I live in Newton. Yeah, a video will help us. What do you think is going on there, Josh?
Yeah, we've got a lot of customers or instances where something's really intermittent. In fact, I can think of one that we're currently working on now. And it really helps the more feedback that we can get from, the customer that's actually able to experience the issue, can really help in isolating the problem. Thinking of, definitely whenever you bring the vehicle in, the more details or the more information that you can think of or give us, helps tremendously. Even if you don't really think it's relevant, I can think of a particular situation where when we're looking at diagrams and looking at schematics and areas of problems, if something's working or not working, it can lead you one way or the other, on a diagram, because if it's working, then that circuit's good, and that circuit may go to several other things that you may not even think's connected,
right,
from one or the other. So, but in this particular situation, again, the video would be great for assistance on it. A couple of things that I'm thinking of would be the switches itself. The other would be the clock spring, and just when I say those components, I'm saying that because of probably failure rate in previous histories, but then also that's the major moving components in that system. Every time you're turning the steering wheel one way or the other, that clock spring is having to work, and those connections are being used, I guess, so to speak. And so it's just a higher use area, and you always kind of want to start there. When you're doing a flow of diagnosis. So, but yeah, that video would be greatly helpful to kind of see what's going on and give us a better opportunity in getting that thing fixed.
He's got another great question coming up too, Josh. He has a Route 66 warning. Will that apply for that? And I would have to say, I think so. But it's one of those deals we got to get the failed part and failed component, then call Route 66, and we'll help you with that to see what's going on.
Yeah, there's so many different levels of warranties, and even through Route 66. It just really depends on, again, what's wrong with it, and then two, once we find out what's wrong with it, what level of coverage you'd purchased with Route 66. We'll determine that. And so,
then, Craig, you're right. What if you can't diagnose it only with my video? And I think, Craig, with your video, we'll be able to know how to diagnose it and know what's kind of going on with them and give us a better idea what the failed component is and stuff with some of our experience and history of what we found in those trucks and stuff too. But if it doesn't act up for us, I think the video will get us where we need to go to help you with that too. So Craig, let's get an appointment set up with you and get your truck in here, because our shop is very busy right now. We're booked in for a little while out. So the sooner you get an appointment in, Craig, maybe we'll just call you after the show, Craig, and we'll take a look at it, see what we can do to help you get Craig in here and get his truck in and take a look at it for you. Anyway, morning, Jim Petty. How are you? Yeah, Mr. Furman, it doesn't help the world get some back to normal when half of the stuff in the world needs is impounded in Egyptian port because Austin Powers was driving a boat. Hey, we got a caller, Josh.
We do. Okay.
So let's get the phones ringing. 316-462-3673. Hey, it's number dial up, and you'll run right into our front receptionist. She'll patch you in, text us on the phone, let us know you're online, get you in here, and it's a great price package, about over $130 for each and every caller. 316-462-3673. Hey, jump over on Facebook. Give us a like over there. Jump on YouTube Live. Give us a like there, too. We're trying to grow this thing in some neat things once we get to 1,000 likes. So we got Jordan on the phone.
Yeah, he'll be with us here momentarily for sure. So,
okay. Maybe?
Yeah, I thought.
Well, trying to get him sent in. Be patient with us here for a second. We'll get the caller on the phone here. It's Jordan. See what Jordan's got up his sleeve and everything else too from that part. So maybe, huh? Maybe, maybe not. So, okay. Where is Jordan? That's kind of different too. Where's Jordan? Hello, we lost Jordan, huh?
Yeah, I'm not sure what the deal is there. I'm gonna
try and call back, Jordan. Love to have you on the phone here. See what's going on. You got him?
Yeah, now you got him. Jordan, you're on live with Under the Hood. Go ahead.
Hey, what's up, guys? How we doing today?
How are you?
I'm good. I was, you guys look good today. You got a nice fresh haircut, Josh. I like that.
Every day.
Sharp as a tack.
Yeah, sharp as a tack.
So I had an unfortunate incident happen this week, where I was moving a landscape rock, and I was using my truck with the front bumper and a 2x4.
That doesn't sound very good there either.
It's worked 100 times. Okay, I know it sounds bad. It sounds worse than it is. But 2x4 slipped, and I smoked my AC compressor. Condenser.
Yeah.
I got the radiator in the tranny cooler too, but that's neither here nor there. So, long story short, I go buy parts, I put it all back together, but obviously now I need my AC charged up. And I normally just go to O'Reilly's and I get the can with the fake frost on the side, like that's got to be the coldest, and I charge it. But this time I hired you guys to do it, and my AC is much, much colder than any time I've ever done it myself. And I'm just curious if you can give me some insight to why it was worth the extra money to have you guys do it, and my AC can literally put frost on the windows now, as opposed to the can at O'Reilly's with the little, dial-o-matic deal.
Dial-o-matic deal. Yeah, there's a
talking about the Hemodobber at the top.
Yeah. I get it. It's the equipment, Jordan, is what it is. It's how we do it and everything else too.
I assumed, but
yeah, and basically each time because you're using little cans that you charge, right? When you did it before.
I mean, historically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because basically each time you hook one of those cans to it, you're actually putting air in that system. instead of Freon in that system. And next thing is did you actually evacuate it down with a pump to get all the moisture out of the system? Is the other thing is. So basically, what we do is when we hook up to your car, we're going to put that system into a vacuum for at least 30 minutes to suck every bit of moisture, every bit of air, everything out of that system. And next thing we're going to do when we do that, we're going to let it hold there for a little bit to make sure there's not a leak, because there's two ways to have a leak in an AC system. You can do it on the suction side or you can do it on the pressure side. So that's the first thing we would do is make sure that thing holds a vacuum to make sure there's no leaks on the suction side of that deal. And humidity or condensation or whatever is detriment on an AC system. Just doesn't work together and everything else, that part. So each time you hook to one of those cans up to it, you actually put humidity, you put air back in your AC system and not complete Freon. So as we suck it out and we put it back in there, and then the next thing is we know what your system holds, and with the proper scales and accurate scales, we put into the ounce the exact amount of Freon your system holds. And when you're putting those cans in, you're kind of guessing about how much Freon you need to put in there and everything else too from that part. So that's kind of, I don't know if I've left anything out there.
Yeah.
Josh,
So the other thing we were talking about too is the just the condenser being replaced itself. If the previous condenser, it's a higher mileage vehicle being plugged, or the fins being folded over from just dirt and debris and bugs and stuff like that on it. That
2x4 hits.
Yeah, 2x4 hits. That obviously it's now can dissipate that heat out of that condenser so much better with fresh new fins on it and everything like that. The other thing is just the type of Freon too, I believe makes a difference. And I think the old analogy is you kind of pay for what you get when it comes to that. And if something's $1.99, there's a reason it's $1.99 from that side of it. So, but I think the most of it probably comes down to the tools and equipment and using the right a better vacuum with it, and then charging it to the exact specifications instead of getting close for sure.
Yep. So it's nice and cold in there now too. And now you're probably not going to want to get out and go to work. You want to sit in your truck all afternoon.
Probably, but either way, I kind of assumed that was probably the case, but I was just curious, and I think that's definitely not an area you want to, like Josh says, you get what you pay for. And come July, I assure you, I'm probably going to be happy that I hired you guys and didn't get the O'Reilly's can.
Yeah,
I'm promising you that's 100% correct. I see those commercials on TV where it shows the guy, he's pulling up to a stoplight with his dog and he's sweating and everything else like that. And the dog runs in and grabs a can of that AC stuff, or Freon, and brings it out. And the next thing you know, he's real nice and cold in his truck. Well, he could be a lot colder if he'd done it the right way than what he was.
Right. It'd be that might even be false advertising. I'm going to call those guys out next time I see them. So
I hear you, but it is not good on your AC system. I'm telling you that for sure. It's not good at all. Putting those little cans in there, it might get yourself some cold air for a little bit and stuff, but the long-term effect that's doing on your AC system is not good at all.
Well, like you said, with the exact amount, I mean, I generally try to put a little extra can in there, so because more is colder is my theory, but that's probably not right either. So
no, that's far from that's wrong too. The more you put in, the worse it gets. It's got to have because it can be undercharged and overcharged from that part. And back in the day when I was doing the old R12 stuff, you could be a half a pound either way, and you'd be okay, and the system would work. Today with these other systems, if you don't have it down to the right ounce, these systems won't work from that part. So.
Yeah, the more is better deal in this particular situation will end up you'll building up higher pressures in the system, and then all of your components will be working harder essentially at that point. So,
yep, exactly. So,
all right, well, good deal. I appreciate the answer, guys. Looking back, I'm actually kind of glad I smoked my AC condenser with a 2x4 because now I would have just had medium cold air, and now I got cold air. So,
hey, will you be moving another landscape rock with the bumper of your truck?
I mean, that's how we do it. Yeah, probably. If you want to be honest, yeah, I'll probably do that again. I don't know another way to do it. I've been doing it that way for years. This has been the only accident, and it turned out with colder air. So,
hey, you
want me to lie to you or tell you the truth?
Yeah,
I'll probably do it again.
How about a toe strap and pulling it?
No, I couldn't get on the other side. It was a push only situation. You had to be there. Just trust me.
You got a
It was
picture
a
of
push
this?
only. No, I didn't. I don't have a picture of it.
Okay.
I could probably recreate the situation.
How-
I'll try to figure it out.
How about using the back of the truck where like a receiver
No,
went?
then you can't. This is precision work. We use the back. I can't see. This is the only way to do it. Trust me. You know what? You guys know AC. I know moving landscape rocks. Let's just stay in our lane. boys.
Stay in our lane. Okay.
All right.
Yeah, keep pushing it.
Trust
So we can
me.
keep charging your AC system. Just keep it up.
It's fine.
Get a
That's
shorter
how the world
board,
goes
too.
around. We'll just keep doing business. It's fine. I love it.
Yeah, that's pretty good. All right, buddy.
Well,
All right,
thanks.
guys.
Thanks for the call, Jordan. Have a good day.
Have a good day.
You too.
Bye.
All right, 316-462-3673. Hey, anything ailing your car, tires, brakes, batteries, or you want to talk about AC work, let's go ahead. Let's fire that off. But, Josh, let's go through that. That's a situation everybody just on their AC systems. I know summertime's coming, and you want to do some preventative maintenance on your AC system. And I'm telling you, once that car gets a couple years on it, after you buy it new, it's time to start servicing that AC system because there's oil in there that has to be picked up and moved around to lubricate the compressor and all the components of the system. If you're a little bit low on Freon, it's not going to pick that oil up and move it. But also just to check that system over. And like I said earlier in the show, back in the R12 days, you could be a half a pound short or a half a pound over. And the systems would work okay. Now today, and part of that is because, we used to use 3 and 4 pounds of Freon. Now we're using some cars only have a pound.
In some cases, a pound from that side of it. So
so you got to have it down to the right ounce and everything else for that part. So doing a preventative maintenance there. And also when we do that preventative maintenance, we're going to add a little bit of oil to the system, make sure it's charged up, with the right amount of oil and stuff in it too. But Josh, let's go through the process we go through. And it's not just a hook some gauges up and see what it is. Because that's kind of what we did years ago, but it's not anymore. So let's go through the process with our equipment. And again, accurate equipment that does the job right and the right proper scales to be able to measure that Freon as it goes into the system. So what's all in our steps and everything we go through on an AC service?
So to start out, they're just going to check general operations. So how's the car performing to get a baseline? So vent temperatures and, what your pressures and readings and stuff are as you start out. Then from there, we're going to evacuate all the refrigerant out of the system or recover all the refrigerant out of the system and see how much is in there. As the machine's pulling it out, it's actually letting you know how much it's pulling it out. And then we're able to compare that to the charge weight on it. So, have a rough idea where you were at refrigerant wise. Once they've recovered everything out of it, we'll put the system into a vacuum. And typically it depends on how large the system is and how much it holds, but typically it's about a 30-minute vacuum from that side. As you said before, there's two ways that system can leak. It can leak under pressure or it could leak under vacuum. And you want to make sure that it doesn't have either of those. And with the system going into a vacuum, it actually removes some of the oil in the system as well. And so we're measuring that as well to see how much refrigerant or how much refrigerant and how much oil comes out of that system. Then after the vacuum's completed, we're going to let it sit for a little while and just make sure it holds pressure or holds the vacuum again to identify if there's any leaks. Now, every AC system, no matter what year of vehicle it will leak. It's just like tire pressures in your tires. It does leak. All the hoses are rubber and permeable, and you lose refrigerant through that over time. And so typically when a consumer notices that it'll be a lot cooler, going down the road, but when they pull up to a stoplight, it'll start, it's not as cool, or if the car's just sitting at idle, it's not as cool. But then when you take off and go down the highway, it typically gets to be cooler. That's a pretty telltale sign that you've got a little bit of low refrigerant, or the condenser in the vehicle is plugged and it's just able to not dissipate the heat out of the condenser. So after the vehicle's sat on a vacuum, and doesn't show any signs of leaking, then what we're going to do is we're going to add oil back into the system.
And talk about that vacuum for a minute. There's a lot of different vacuum pumps out there too. You've got to get that thing to at least 28 inches of vacuum to be able to get that moisture out of the system. If you don't have a good enough vacuum pump and you only get it, say 26, you're not going to get any of that out of there. The moisture that's in the system, or humidity or condensation, however you want to look at that, without that, with the quality of vacuum pump.
Yeah, the equipment makes a huge difference as far as, and again, you get what you pay for on the equipment side of things too. If you buy a $500 machine, you're going to get, if you buy a $5,000 machine, obviously it's going to make a huge difference there too. So, but now we're replacing the oil that came out of it. We happen to use a BG's oil. Which is like a synthetic oil for the AC system, but it also includes dye. Where the dye is important is, down the road, if you develop a leak or have a leak.
And it's going to happen. I promise you, your AC system is going to definitely have a leak somewhere down the road. No doubt.
Yeah, it for sure will. And so with the dye in the system, you're able to identify with a black light later on down the road where that leak's coming from a lot easier than because sometimes it can be a very small leak, and very hard to trace. There's a couple of different ways to do it. One is just a visual inspection on that side of it. The other one is a black light with some dye, and then the other side of it, they have refrigerant sniffers, and so it will actually smell the refrigerant.
I never had much luck with those though. Either.
Yeah, the biggest problem with those is typically the refrigerant is heavier than air, so it falls wherever it leaks from, and so you've got to be under wherever it is that it's leaking. And then in some particular situations, you may have several connections or several components in a very isolated area, and I can identify that there's refrigerant there, but where's it coming from? And some of these leaks can be very, very minuscule. These AC systems should be running around 250 PSI or pressure-wise on the high side system, and so it doesn't take a very big leak for that at that higher pressure, to get a very minuscule leak and be kind of hard to identify. So really, dye is the best way of identifying that, but the other methods can work as well.
Just not as effective and not as good as
for sure.
As the dye.
So now we've put that dye in there, made sure there was no leaks, had the system in a vacuum. We're going to charge the system, and when we charge it, each vehicle has a specified pressure down to the 1 ounce increment of the amount of refrigerant that they want in there, and so the equipment goes through and it has scales on it and measures out the refrigerant that goes back into that system. The other advantage, again, over the equipment that we have, we're a service center that does AC, is this is all one machine. So you're not unhooking, rehooking, reconnecting hoses, and
yes.
So the one machine does all the functions and stays hooked to the machine throughout the whole process, as opposed to, if a person just has a handheld vacuum pump and then they got to go back and now charge it over here and stuff like that. Every time they disconnect and reconnect or put another component in there, even though the system is sealed and in a vacuum, but whatever your line set, whenever you hook that up, that line that you just hooked to there is going to have air in it, atmospheric air in it. So now we charge it up to that specified pressure, and then monitor the gauges, see what's going on. Are the pressures okay, and where in range where they need to be? And then the other thing that we do is in Kansas, in our conditions, a lot of dirt and dust and debris.
No,
everywhere.
We have normal driving conditions here in Kansas.
Just it's sunny and 70, right? Palm trees everywhere. So what we do is we'll go through and blow out the condenser. The condenser is the very front of the vehicle, behind.
Takes the abuse of everything. Kind of like George's rock deal.
Yeah. behind your bumper and grill, and they're not very strong. Putting a 2x4 to them that doesn't
a 2 or 4 or 1.
Yeah, it's not gonna hold it. But anyways, it is just exactly like a radiator. There's fins on it, and that condenser's job is to take the heat from the outside of the cabin and that higher pressure and cool it off. And if it's plugged up with dirt and debris and bugs and stuff like that, it can't get that heat away. And so as part of the AC system service that we perform, we go through and clean all that dirt and debris out of there and allow that thing to breathe so much better.
Much better. Yeah. And that's the one thing we forget about. That's the front of the car. That's where the bugs and everything else gets trapped in there and stuff like that too. Even kind of going through a car wash does kind of help rinse it out a little bit, but not near as good as blowing that thing out and coming from the backside of that condenser and stuff too. But I can't stress enough of these AC service. To me, it's a yearly service. It's something you want to do to your car every year to keep the compressor. That's the main component of the AC system. If that compressor goes, it's $1,000, $1,500 to repair. And I'd much rather spend a little bit of money and keeping that thing in good tip-top shape and stuff from that part too. So do an AC service once a year, in my opinion. Just helps keep that system there, and you'll be money way ahead. So anyway, Craig's got a long little note here for us. Craig, after the show, Josh and I will give you a ring and get you all fixed up on that appointment. He made an appointment for the 22nd, and we'll take your videos and figure out a way to get you taken care of, Craig, from that part too. So 316-462-3673. Hey, let's get the phones ringing and answer some questions and talk about this AC service and everything else too might be going on with your vehicle. Talk about MH Ford Racing, Hoosiers, whatever it might be. We'd love to take your call and give you away this great price package valued over $130. Right now, Josh, it's a good time to stop, but I got another question we're going to talk about here in a second. But we need to think about our sponsors that help us with this show. It's BG Products, all the great preventative maintenance products we use right here inside Mel Hambelton Ford. I started using them in 1987, and boy, I can't tell you how much they've changed and grown, and that's what I love about BG. Their products are great, and like you said earlier, Josh, was that $1.99? You're not getting much for $1.99, are you?
Yeah, when the competitors are, when you're typically paying $10 for something and something's $1.99, there's a reason you're paying $1.99 for it.
Exactly. So BCC, Big Corner Creative, for all your advertising needs. As those guys say, just Google us. And I ran into a gentleman last night who is he's a neighbor of mine, and he owns the company down this road from us, XLT, that actually builds the pizza ovens and stuff for all the country. And he said, "Hey, Big Corner Crave." He said, "I drove by and I saw their sign. I said, just Google us." So he said, "I Googled them." He said, "Next thing I know, they're my advertising company." I said, "Well, that's pretty cool." I knew we were working with, but I had no idea he was my neighbor or anything else like that. So a small world and stuff too. So those guys at Big Corner, they can do anything to help your web page design, help your company grow with social media, vehicle wraps, window wraps, race car wraps, whatever it is, window tint, whatever it takes to help make your business go. I promise you guys at Big Corner Creative can help you with all your needs. And go to rent. Hey, it's summertime. Looking for a rental car or a vehicle to go somewhere for vacation, 12, 15 passenger van. Give Stan a call right inside here at Mel Hambelton Ford. He's got a great fleet of vehicles to help you get what you need, get a little something bigger if you just don't want to put the miles in your car. He's got a bunch of vehicles over there to help you with that too. So anyway, Josh, we talked about the AC system, but also the next thing I thought about too is right on top of that is it's a vent service. And sometimes we get that confused with an AC service, but the vent service, your AC and heater core all underneath your dash. And you all see that the water running out of your evaporator when the AC is running. And that's a normal thing. It has to happen. It just happens. That condensation builds on the evaporator. And then there's a drain in the bottom of that evaporator case and runs that water out of there. But, those drains kind of plug up every now and then. And then also what happens is when depending on how your car is designed or whatever, how that evaporator sets in there, that maybe all that water can't get off the evaporator, can't run out of there and stuff. And then guess what happens? That's when we start building mold and mildew, and then debris gets in there and everything else. And then we get all kinds of odors and stuff. But the other thing that happens, it builds a film on that evaporator, so it can't do its job and produce when the air goes across it, it can't get all the cold air out that evaporator that's happening inside there. So event service, I don't know if it's a yearly thing again or whatever, but a lot of our cars have those cabin filters, which helps out tremendously. I wish every car had that. I wish that was kind of a government mandate. You had to have an AC heater, a cabin air filter on your car, just like your furnace does at home. But Josh, this AC vent service is something from BG Products they come up with. I mean, years ago, I remember taking evaporator and heater cores out of cars and having to power wash them out and do all that kind of stuff. But now they've got a great service, and let's talk about how that works and what it does. It's simple, it's easy, and you won't believe. I can't believe how many times I've done those AC vent services, and just the airflow coming across in there is incredibly changed.
Yeah. So, again, like you said, that evaporator sitting in the inside of a closed or a sealed up box with the exception of everything but a drain. And it's sitting in there for all intents purposes, sweating. So there's water coming off of it.
Yeah.
And,
sweating, that's no good.
Yeah. And so it's sitting there sweating. Well, as it's sweating, you have a fan blowing across it that is taking outside air and blowing it across that evaporator. And that's what's, coming in the cabin to cool you. And so, again, not living in perfect conditions where it's sunny and 70 and palm trees growing everywhere.
Sunny and 70 somewhere. We've just not around here.
We've got dust and debris that fan is pushing across there, and so what's it going to do? It's going to cling to that sweat or that the moisture that's built up on that evaporator, and so again, that's going to affect the airflow. So the volume of air, if you feel like your AC system's on high and you're just not getting the volume that you once were when the vehicle was new, a lot of times that's because, again, the dirt and debris that's built up on that evaporator that's causing that degradation of airflow. The other side of that is when you have all that condensation on the evaporator and it's draining off and running out the bottom of the car. But when you shut the car off and now you don't have any airflow going across there and everything, and so you have a pool of water just sitting at the bottom of that case, and until that car gets started back up, that water is just sitting there and is a great place for mold and mildew to build up. And then as it does that, you turn on your fan again and it's just blowing that throughout the whole ventilation system on the inside of the car through the vents and duct work and everything like that. So BG's come up with a BG vent service product, and it's very simple and easy versus what it would take to actually remove an AC evaporator or a heater core. You literally have to take the dash out, complete dash. The HVAC, the heating and ventilation case has to come out, and then you end up splitting the case and replacing the
lots of work.
Replacing the evaporator and heater core inside of those components, and then cleaning everything up. So BG's made this service. And again, it's a matter of going in, and what we do is we'll actually drill a hole into the case between the blower motor and the evaporator and heater core. And it's I'm going to say white as snow foam that basically gets sprayed into this case, and it fills the case. The blower motor pushes this foam across the evaporator, and as it hits the front of the evaporator, it just kind of drains down into that drain. And I've done this with several vehicles and with the advisors' vehicles and stuff like that. And I saw
how much stuff comes out of there.
Show them the foam that goes in it and how white it is, and then collect the stuff that comes out of it and how just nasty, dark, black that it looks. And we've done services as soon as 10,000 miles and as long as probably 250,000 miles. And you would think, well, 10,000 miles isn't really a whole lot of miles on a vehicle, but it just really depends. It depends on driving conditions, where you're driving the vehicles. The other thing that's huge is smoker or non-smoker. That makes a huge difference. From that side of things. So, but I can promise you either way, it's nasty.
Yeah. I've seen some nasty stuff come out of there.
What comes out of there. And so, anyways, we'll run the can of that through there. Once that portion of the service is complete, they then have a can of Frigifresh. And what you do is you actually spray this into the air inlet. So on the outside, typically the air inlet is after the hood, but before the windshield. It's called a wiper cal area. and that's where
most air gets in, right?
Most of the air gets in to a cabin, into the blower motor system and stuff like that. Now, spray some of that in there to clean up the air intake. So spray it in the vehicle itself, around the vents, seats, headliners, stuff like that. Again, just it's designed to kill the mold and mildew that's built up in there. So it's you can tell a huge difference just in odor right after the
Think about what you're breathing in
sure.
that car with that mold and mildew and debris coming through, that it's hitting you right in the face every time when you get in there. And the FrigiFresh is another product we use to help disinfect the cars.
Yeah, correct there. So
two great services you need to be on top of, I think, in my opinion. Yearly services, in my opinion, that cabin air filter getting changed, and from that part too. So it's amazing some of the times what we see in those cabin air filters, we pull them out.
Yeah, the cabin air filter deal, like you said, I really wish that it would just be a standard thing. It's the rhyme or reason as to why one car has it and another car doesn't. It just doesn't seem to make a whole lot of sense from that side. It's just, in fact, I would almost think you would need it worse than you would a filter at your house, just because the
outside debris and
where the vehicle's driving around and everything like that. It's just a necessary thing for sure.
Yeah, exactly. Well, 316-462-3673. Hey, let's get the phones ringing. Anything you want to talk about in the automobile world, racing, anything else from that part? Josh just got a text. Dodge City's rained out.
Oh, no.
No racing this weekend for the Team 3J. Wish we'd be going somewhere, but I guess we could drive all the way down to Pensacola. That's where USMTS is racing tonight. But, boy, that's a long trip for
Pensacola.
Yeah.
Oklahoma? Is it?
Yeah, way down there real quick.
Huh. So they're headed down there, huh?
Yeah.
That wouldn't be good to make that drive and then that get rained out.
Yeah, that wouldn't be no fun either. So, anyway, I know the USMT guys raced at Lakeside last night. We could have went there too, but we had planned to go to Salina last night to race IMCA. That got rained out, so too late to get rained out to hit to Kansas City, but we could have went there too. But it'd be fun to watch the USMTS guys tonight on Racing Dirt, another good partnership here we have with Mel Hambelton Ford. If you want to watch the USMTS, get on Racing Dirt tonight. They have a great broadcast on there, having some great cameras out there to keep you up to date and everything else too in the racing. I was watching it last night. Watched Rodney Sanders pull off another win that he's doing there too. Watched our great friend and partner Tanner Mullins. He was running up front pretty good. He drew the pole position and he kind of got a little close to the wall and took off his right rear quarter, and that doesn't help very much for downforce. So, but is what it is. Part of racing. Got to get into the quarter panel, put back on it, and go racing. So, from that part, so we'll be rooting for Tanner Mullins down there in Pensacola tonight. See how he can do down there too for the Buddy Mullins crew and everything else too from that part. So. No racing at Dodge City. Dang it. I figured the rain would blow through there. And what I was hoping, Dodge City's all of that concrete and stuff would be okay. But Craig just texted me and said, sorry, Phil, rained out. I get it. Too much rain because they expecting some more rain, he said this afternoon too. So it wouldn't be no fun to drive 2.5 hours to get there and have to drive 2.5 back and not get to unload the car either. So
with a clean car still. You always want it to come back dirty. Still in one piece, but dirty.
Yep, exactly. So next week we're headed back to Salina on Friday, and we'll be at 81 Speedway on Saturday next week. So we'll keep digging in on that part too. So going to be weird sitting at home on a Saturday night. It was weird on a Friday night, let me tell you. So, hey, anyway, everybody, hey, let's get the phones ringing. 316-462-3673. Love to take your call, give you this great price package and everything else on your cars, and help you with anything you can help on what's happening with your vehicle. And Josh and I got a lot of years in this experience, and we'll give you the right answers and stuff. But I know you can jump on Google and get a lot of good things there too. And I can't remember what I was jacking around with Google the other day trying to get answers. I couldn't get no answers. So that frustrates you too a little bit on that part too. But I know Google's a great thing. I use it a lot for a lot of other things and get a lot of good information there too. So
we went through did advisor training this week over kind of broke everybody up into groups and had, I guess, like a little actually they were legit things that I had seen the previous month of customers come in and say, hey, I have this concern, and just going through each advisor and saying, okay, what would you do in this scenario or circumstance or situation? And one of them was somebody had bought a brand new Mustang, and had
his rear tires bald already.
Yeah, Yeah, no, I know what the problem was there. So, no. But had a concern that when it was in drive, that there, so on the newer Mustangs, you have the select shift option with the transmission. So basically, you have the Indy paddle shifters behind the behind the steering wheel that you can manually shift this transmission. And so the customer's concern was when it was in drive that the vehicle will shift itself if you let the RPMs get too high. So basically, it won't redline from that side. But if you put it in the manual mode, then the vehicle will wait until you hit the shifter, the paddle shifter, in order to shift the vehicle. So you can then redline the vehicle. And then the concern was, okay, well, is that normal or not? And so I asked each one of the advisors, okay, if a customer comes in with this concern, what are you doing? What's your answer, or what's your reply to it? And, the reason for this is for us to get better as a team and make sure that everybody's on the same page and go into where to find the answer. Because everybody's initial reaction is, well, it's normal. Okay, well, I understand that you think that's normal, and you're probably not wrong, but show me.
Right.
From that side. And so we're going through this and just kind of diving into it and seeing what each person will do.
Right.
And the other goal of this is to get these guys confident enough in where to go to look for the answer that they don't need to involve, a shop foreman or a technician or a parts guy in some cases. I think one of the other things, I gave them a VIN number and I said, hey, tell me if this vehicle has navigation or not. And the goal was to, again, get them to be able to do it self-sufficiently, know where to go to find the information, and be confident about what they're telling somebody. Because again, a consumer going to Google or YouTube or something like that to find an answer, to me, that's not a reliable source. You can find a lot of great information on there, but I want to be able to prove something to somebody in black and white in Ford's writing. And
agree.
Anyways, there's several places to find the information through Ford for that exact concern of what the customer has to say. But where it really was?
Where?
The owner's manual.
Really?
And that was a conversation that we talked about for quite a little while, is that a lot of consumers have questions or concerns about their vehicle, and the answer to a lot of those questions or concerns is literally less than 3 feet away from them. And, as service advisors or being in this industry, that is a book that I think you could hide $100 bill in an owner's manual on a new vehicle, and 10 years later, when that vehicle gets sold or traded or whatever, that $100 bill would still be in that book.
Oh yeah, I agree with that too. From that part, and I never encourage anybody to read those owner manuals either, but it is good information. What I do love is the new 21 F-150. The owner's manual.
It's online.
It's online on the screen. You can get in there and search and do whatever you want right on the screen, which is very cool.
There's videos too with it, which I think is a great benefit to the customers. That Mach-E has the same thing going on. And I'm not advocating as a customer, if you have a question, by all means ask us. But again, I want our staff to know where to go to find the correct information from that side of it.
Exactly. So 316-462-3673. Hey, let's get the phones ringing. Give us a like over on YouTube. Give us a like on Facebook. I really appreciate that very much. We'd love to hear from you this morning, and anything that's helping your car, anything ailing your car, anything that's happening there. 316-462-3673. It's the main dealership line. The girls will get you punched in through to us from that part. And it's that simple. $130 get you a great price package, and get you going for another 5,000 miles and everything else too. So, something else, Josh, it's we're coming off of, really didn't have much of a spring. I guess you could call this springtime, but in our packages, that nitrogen, we haven't talked about nitrogen in a while. From that part, what it does and everything else too. So, nitrogen it used to be very, very expensive, and now that they've got some better machines out there that we've had for several years now, it's more price competitive and everything else from that part. And I promise you, if you don't have nitrogen in your passenger car tires, your light duty truck tires, you need to have it. It really helps and saves. Where it kind of comes into play is those tire pressure warning lights are on those cars. I love that. I love that now you can see your pressures on your dash. I love the fact that I can see my trailer tires on the dash now to know what my trailer is doing and everything else too from that part, from that standpoint. But nitrogen is a drier gas, so that helps the aging of your tires on the inside. I know it doesn't seem like a lot, but it does help. But the biggest thing, it just keeps a constant pressure. It doesn't fluctuate like a compressed air does. When you go from a sunny and 70 day, right?
Yeah.
To a 50 degree or 40 degrees in a night, compressed air is going to lose a couple pounds, maybe 3 or 4, and just enough to turn that tire pressure warning light on. And then as you drive a little bit, the tire heats up and it increases maybe a pound or whatever, and the light goes out. The other thing is if you keep the right pressure in your tire at all times, the life of that tire is drastically improved and saved from that standpoint. Fuel economy is even better because it doesn't take as much to push that low tire down the highway and everything. I know I've said this a couple times on the show, but my personal happening with it is my trailer tires on my race trailer. Granted, I do run 100 PSI in them, but I went 2 years before I put pressure in them. For that part, had to do anything is again monitoring the pressures on my dash. Now, the thing that really blew me away is, they'll increase to about 105, 106, something like that, when the tire heats up as you're running down the highway. But the time I needed to add pressure in it, naturally, it was running fast, running hard. I didn't go grab the machine because I had to unhook the machine and bring it clear over to the trailer because the hoses won't reach to the trailer. So I just squirted air in them and aired them up. They dropped a little bit. Just putting that little bit of compressed air in those tires, I took off running down the highway. The pressures jumped almost 114, 115 pounds of pressure, just that little bit. So, you can almost overinflate a tire too from that part when it's running down the highway too. But that nitrogen, it keeps a constant pressure. Granted, it's still going to leak. It doesn't stop it from leaking air, but it keeps that constant pressure on those tires for a longer tire life. It keeps the humidity out of the tires so it doesn't rust out those steel belts and decompress the rubber in your tires. There's just so many benefits to it. Getnitrogen.org. Go check that website out. We still have the deals on the drive too.
Yep.
You punch in how much a gallon of gas is. And again, gas is jumping up. Don't like it, but it is. How many miles you drive and how much a tire costs in your car, and calculate up and show you how much you save just by having nitrogen in your tires. So just a great benefits and everything else too. And I know someone that would always convince herself that it rode better with nitrogen in her tires.
You do?
That's what she says.
Yeah.
So anyway, hey, 316-462-3673. Hey, let's get the phones ringing. Love to hear from you. Love to answer your questions and stuff. Just got a few minutes left before we end the show here and stuff too. So 316-462-3673. Anyway, Josh, it's already May 15th. Where did May go?
May's absolutely crazy.
Halfway through from that part. Any tire specials, brake specials, or anything?
Yeah, so we'll be having a Memorial Day tire sale, which starts not next week, but the week after that, and it will run through June 5th. And so you'll be able to it's something that Ford's pushing for is rebates, so mail-in rebates from that side, but then they will double the mail-in rebates on the Ford Pass app. So instead of taking the prepaid debit card that would come in the mail, if you wanted to use it on your Ford Pass, which is an app that you have, so anything you would spend, parts and service, you get points for those, and you can use them at a later date with us. And that's good at any Ford dealer. You can use it towards the service repair, or you could use it towards the purchase of a new vehicle from that side of things. But it's a pretty cool thing when somebody comes in and they've got $200, $300, $400 bill, and they're able to apply a percentage of that onto their bill and be able to, in some cases, take care of the bill entirety from that side of things. And they also receive those Ford Pass points for purchase of a new vehicle as well. That pays for a couple of years maintenance on the new vehicle. If you wanted to do that, some people will apply it and use it towards an accessory of a vehicle, and customize their vehicle and make it their own.
Very true. Hey, let's switch over to new cars for a minute.
Okay.
Everybody, you've all heard about the chip shortages out there, and yes, that's exactly what's happening. Our new inventory is very low, so now's the time to jump on some of those new cars. There's some great things happening there with everything else too. We got a few F-150s in a little bit, but again, we usually have 900 new cars sitting here, and we're down to less than 100 that are on the ground. Our webpage shows us about 200 and some, but those are still cars that are in transit, and a lot of those cars that are in transit are sitting, waiting on those chips up in that part. But what that's done is it's taken the used car market and drove the used car prices crazy. I've never seen this in my 40 years in the car business of how much these prices have changed and how fast they're changing and stuff like that too. So right now, your used car, your vehicle you're driving today is by far worth more money than it's ever been from that standpoint. So it's a great time to get some more value out of your car. So if you're thinking about trading or whatever you might want to do, you might want to give us a shout and let's see what we can do to help you. Just help a gentleman just yesterday come out of his 16 F-150, got him into a new 21 F-150, lowered his payment $120.
You know,
per month.
The additional side of that is if you have a little bit of negative equity in your vehicle, now's certainly the time to kind of get rid of some of that for sure. So,
yeah, exactly. Anyway, and just texting another guy here, we've got some trucks, and he says, I don't know why these Super Dudes are flying off the shelf. I said, it's just because there's such a demand right now, and they are there. And he says, well, he just bought another one. So it seems like you need another one.
Yeah, they definitely don't last long for sure. We get inventory in here and it turns around and heads right back out. But looking very excited about this Bronco, and it's been a long time coming. I think Ford, I just think of the previous launches on some other new vehicles they had, like the Mach-E and stuff like that. And, the Ranger, when it came out, that was just as far as a reliability thing. Years ago, I would say that the very first product of something, whenever they come out with a new model line or something, you always wonder, okay, well, how reliable it's going to be. But these last several vehicles that Ford's put out has just blown me away, with the reliability behind them, with it being a new product. So very excited for this Bronco.
Hey, I can't wait to get down to Austin here. I think it's 27th. You and I and Jake get to go down there and test drive those things and have fun with those things. That's going to be a neat time. And I see a lot of videos out there of different people that are probably, I think, on that same tour, because that tour has been going around a little bit and stuff too. It's going to be fun to see what we can do to those Broncos, some off-roading and all kind of things we're going to do with those things. Next thing is Ford launched, and I knew they would, an incredible accessory page. There's going to be a ton of accessories to personalize your Bronco to make it just look how you want it to look and stuff too. Josh, we've got to get together with Paul. We've got to start stocking some of that stuff and get some of the things in, because I know there's going to be a lot of customers going to want those accessories. And I don't know about you, I don't want to wait on them. I want to have them in stock and ready to go. And
sure.
From that part too, and Lisa had a great idea. We need to take the children's playroom and make that into the Bronco accessory room, and turn that into put the walls up and everything, be able to have all the accessories up and stuff like that too. So very excited for that thing too, from that part. So anyway, Josh, we're running out of time. Another hour blown by here and everything else. And once again, we'll get on the phone with Craig after the show and get him all taken care of on his 11 F-150. Let's thank our sponsors one more time. It helps us keep this show going and everywhere too. Ryan Ray, the testing is more robust than ever before. The R&D department at Ford has grown exponentially over the last 20 years. Ryan, I agree with you 1,000%. Agree with you that immensely, how much the quality has changed and everything else too, from that standpoint. So anyway, Big Corner Creative. Hey, they're not just wrapping race cars. They're wrapping everything from trailers to cars to everything. Anything to help your business advertise, from social media to web page design, windows wraps, window tint. Anything to help your business, as those guys say, just Google us. BG Products, all the great preventative maintenance products we use right inside here at Hambelton Ford. Been using them since 1987 and just love their products because it does great for your car to prevent your preventative maintenance, make them run a lot longer. And also Go to Rent. Hey, it's summertime, getting line stands. Got a great fleet of vehicles, but I know the reservations are getting tight because it's getting tight on me. I couldn't give a van out the other day because right at the time they needed, because he's got them all rented. So, and he's got a lot of vans over. So get on the list and get in your line for your rental car for the summer travels and your summer vacations before it's too late. Everybody have a great and hopefully dry weekend. No racing around here, but dang, Mother Nature's got it rain on Friday and Saturday instead of Monday, Tuesday. Josh.
Crazy, isn't it?
It is. So everybody have a great weekend. We'll talk to you next Saturday.